Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to GameStar TV. And we're into game number 2 of Numbers versus Team DC. Of course, Numbers have won the first match and are 1-0 up. So to take you through the match, here are Skimmy and Vandy once again. Take it away, Skimmy.
No worries, Crisis. Yeah, Numbers convincingly taking out game number 1. I'm going to be punching on Vandy, this time on Sky Temple. Another map which revolves, really, I should be saying, actually, on team fighting ability, skirmishing potential, and even globals to a fair degree.
That's completely right. So we can see things like Illidan come out on this map. Abathur as well is a favored pick. Just things where you can really just control the rotations on a micro level. So really, it's all about forcing those rotations and then making sure you can capture the temples and then push off that. So as long as you can win that all-important race to 10, once again, you can almost snowball it in your favor. You continually win the fights, take all the objectives, and ta-da, the core's done.
I'm expecting to see a very early Illidan pick. Reason being, you can telegraph these bans. Sonya is a direct counter towards it. Oriole being the ban as well, a definite surefire takeaway from Luminum, who just loves playing that hero. But with Sonya off the board, Illidan is picked. There we are.
I mean, that's all she wrote, right? But Arthas is still available. Team DC can pick up Arthas for themselves and effectively be a counter to that all-important Illidan. Let's see if they take it, though. I'm not sure if Team DC feel confident enough to roll with the Arthas or if they want to. They seem to favor that Anub'arak and Dahaka last game.
Yeah, I mean, Anub'arak is still in a very good spot. Definitely not out of the meta at all. But in terms of sort of priority picks, Illidan gets a lot of love. Be it he can solo these temples, he can split push the lanes, and he can hunt. And Globals really have that advantage. We saw what happened when Nomi went up against Darkseid in this map in particular. Globals really ran rampant. Genji, he has been changed. He wasn't in last game. Not really the best map for him, but this is another map where he can really excel. Despite the changes, I'm sure that's not really going to change the competitive meta too much.
No, it really isn't. Like you said, Genji is still very, very respected and highly contested, whether it be picked or banned. But as you said, Brax is not really the map of choice for him. We're on a map with so much more about Siege. On a map like this, you can actually find a lot of use out of Genji. So good thing that Arthas was picked up as well as the Tassadar. So already they're denying that Tassadar being comboed with the Illidan, but that leaves Stukov free to go through.
So with the Tassadar being taken away, they feel threatened. They want to pick up that Valo very early on. But what I'm thinking this Tassadar is predicting is potentially a Tracer, because Tracer can really give a bit of a nightmare to all 3 of those picks currently on Numbers roster. So Arthas is a great pick, direct counter to the likes of Illidan and Vala. But it's how they want to diversify this draft as it progresses on through. But Stukov, yeah, we can't really talk about him enough. In fact, this is his competitive debut when it comes to ANZ at the very least.
That's completely true, because we were off season and then he wasn't allowed to be played back then. Back then being back in the competitive.
Back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day, huh? And this is interesting. If they're hovering over that Muradin ban, he has been adjusted a lot, so his health pool is a lot bigger, and I guess given some love to fit in better with the other tanks, but I don't know if I've seen a Murat. I think Dahaka would be a nicer ban on this. Really then eliminate a lot more of the globals that are available for team Numbers to pick up. But I mean, with that Stukov being picked up, they didn't choose Brightwing, another global hero, but the numbers that Stukov can dish out compared to Brightwing, yeah.
It seems that the Dahaka ban's an interesting one, because generally speaking, you think Illidan is that solo laner. If they do run with the Dahaka, they'd have to get a tank on top of that, because Dahaka frontline solo is a bit of a weird predicament. So then we see Malthael banned away as well. And I'm thinking, well, Malthael can fit in here. It will do a fair bit of work against a very sort of all-inclusive melee comp. Definitely targeted towards, once again, the Illidan, much the same as Sonya. But the Dahaka one, yeah, global. I'm just a wee bit sort of unsure as to how viable that would have been.
I'm thinking more if they went to Haka, they would just never go for a 5v5. So like you said, they would just abuse the fact out of global. So maybe they were worried more about that scenario, but let's see how they go. That's what I'm envisioning. I mean, if you did have full globals, you got to commit to it. Like you said, just never go for a fight. A lot of the time we see people, they pick that global composition, but they keep going into 5v5s, and we're like, no, this is not how you execute your composition. This is not how you execute the strategy that you're trying to go for.
Yeah, it's not where your strength lies. We've seen on Sky Temple in particular, different types of teams. Some teams love to play those all-out aggression. They stick as a 5-man unit, and they get absolutely out-rotated as a result of these global comps. And if that was the direction that Numbers wanted to go with, then that could have definitely played him part. But we're running this one right down to the wire. DC are going to lock in both ETC and Malfurion. Malfurion, a great follow-up for not only the power slide, but as the insurance for the Howling Blast, which was a big outlier for them last game. They just did not have the CC to follow up when Anub'arak jumped in.
I'm really interested in how Team DC are drafting. So I don't see any sort of damage there. We've got bruises, yes. We've got high sustainability, yes. So are they just going to go, we're going to out-sustain you so much that eventually we're just going to whittle you down? I'm not sure how feasible that's going to be.
It seems like they've got a lot of counters towards Illidan specifically, right? So you got the ETC for the power slide, for the mosh pit, the root, Twilight Dream, everything towards Illidan, making sure he's at the fight. Because you can see right now, Numbers have put a lot of love into this draft for him specifically by taking away those two bans. Li Ming is going to be the follow-up, which gives him a lot of damage to allow Illidan to find those resets. And Johanna, as I like to call it, the poor man's Arthas is going to be that final pick.
Poor woman's Arthas. I love that. But yeah, I mean, looking at what Team Numbers have drafted out, they have a very well-rounded composition. They've got the split, they have great team fight, and they also have a lot of poke. So it's very, very well-rounded. On the side of Team DC, I'm just worried, like you said, there's so much being invested, almost tunneling into shutting down the Illidan, but there's still a Valor now that you need to convince. There's still a Li Ming. They're both almost carries, well, hyper carries within themselves. It just takes one reset for Li Ming to start dishing out the damage. And then same for Valor. You just leave her alive in the back line, and you're just going to regret it. So Kael'thas. So it's all AoE.
See, this is where it gets weird, because they've got the Tesla, but who is Tesla there to empower?
Yeah.
So it feels to me as if DC have done more counter drafting as opposed to actually drafting their own comp. They've gone all out. We need to deny this Illidan. Let's take away good picks. Let's take physically picks that work against him. But now you're left in this sort of spot of like, well, where's our damage? How do we actually win?
That's it. Where's the Tracer? Where's someone that can really pair up nicely with that Tassadide and get some impact from it? Otherwise, like you said, you've just deny-picked them, but you're also denying yourself.
Very interesting to see how this one's going to pan on out. Space Phoenix denying Kael'thas from Touch Me, who played it fantastically last game, but this time he's going to play even better. Illidan, up against so many direct counters, a lot of love is going to be shown towards him, and all eyes will be on how he can actually play it.
Let's see. I mean, I'm already just laughing because of Touch Me's name. All of Team DC are going to want to touch him, just saying. They've drafted that composition specifically to take him out of the equation, take him out of the team fight nice and early.
It's as if Sky Temple is a playground and he's going to be running around playing tag with a bunch of his mates.
Yeah, come catch me. Let's see what you've got. I hope on the side of Team DC that they're not going to be, I guess, always playing the catch-up. Often we can see that when there is a global composition being run up, they're often just chasing and not making plays of their own. They're in the position where they need to be making the plays because they have the composition to do so. They've got so much lockdown.
Lockdown they do indeed have, and it'll be looking to lock down this series because they are currently 1-0 down. 1-0 in favour of Numbers, and let's introduce that team. Touch Me is going to be playing Illidan, and he'll be getting a lot of touches this game around. Luminum getting the debut for Stukov, Luffy on Johanna, Ivy on Li Ming, and Bismarck on Vala.
And on red side, we have Team DC, Space Phoenix on Kael'thas, Proto on Malfurion, Tyrion on Tassadar, Gwyd on Arthas, and Alex Chan playing ETC.
And right off the bat, looking at the talents, we can already see Immolation picked up here by the Illidan. So a lot of priority is going to be put on these Mercs as well as that split pushing potential. So generally speaking, when you get to that level 1 talent, you can either go for that or the Battered Assault, which empowers the sweeping strikes for more damage. He's not going to go for the team fight. That's not where his strength lies, given how many counters he has against it. He wants to sort of force that aggression, force that pressure, and force those rotations unfavorably for DC.
Correct, Skimmy. And that's where a lot of the strength of their composition lies. By doing that, like I said, it will then force Team DC to respond accordingly. But that's what I don't want Team DC to be doing. I want them to sort of not ignore the Illidan, but either engage on the 4v5 or go pick off the Illidan nice and early, just anticipate it, essentially, by reading into that.
Rotations come across, and Luminum has actually gone for the Fetid Touch at level 1, so that's to empower the Weighted Pustule. This seems to be the go-to build now as a result of the Stukov balance change, so I have to see how that gets any value as this game progresses on.
Stukov's an interesting one. So I've seen a few builds, I guess, for him, but I haven't really seen a lot of other people deviate from taking out Fetid Touch at level 1. I think that's just the go-to talent of choice.
Yeah, Lurking Arm really was the go-to for a while, especially with that expansive pool of silence. So frustrating to deal with, but with the sort of counter synergy, there's no really way to follow it up or lock them in place. They are going to opt for this different build, give them more lockdown, allow the likes of Vala and Illidan to collapse and get those sort of prolonged, sustained team fights where they really excel. And Power Slide comes across for Alex Chan, not on the game in this time, but still looking to dive into the mix of things as the first set of temples spawn. And this should really work in favour of numbers. As a result of having an Illidan in top lane, they can focus all their attention towards that mid and abuse the fact that they have extra damage.
I really like what Luminum did there as well. He used Way to Pastille to check the bush for him. So that always just shows, just never face check a bush. It just looks so fishy, no one being in that lane. So great. I mean, it could have almost been disastrous. They were really making sure that they could try get a nice, successful gank. But let's look up in the top lane here with the rotation coming out from Team DC. It will force Touch Me to seek value either elsewhere, or look, there's already a answering rotation coming out.
They actually leave 2 shots in the mid lane. They're going to go straight up to the top lane, forcing that fight. They say, we have a better team fight than you. We are better than you in this case. We want to make sure that you are aware of this. And it seems to be Ivy going to jump on towards ETC, who is forced to Power Slide away very defensively. Iron Skin popped by Johanna, making sure that she cannot get pounced upon. But they get full control of this lane, full control of the temples, and they find themselves with a 1-level lead.
That was great. Shot calling by Team Numbers. I really like that. So with the 2 shots left, they're like, don't worry about it. Let's try and seek value up there. I mean, Touch Me, stay right where you are. We'll come back you up. We can fight this. Like you said, we have the better team fight. Which is a bit... it already spells disaster, I think, on the side of Team DC about what's going to happen later on.
Oh, massive orb comes across, but once again, Alex Chan has the Power Slide, making sure that he cannot be taken out for free. Isn't going to suffer First Blood fate. But as you said already, Vandy, yeah, DC with the rotations came across. They snuck in those final shots in mid lane, and they pick up the XP as a result too.
Look at this already. So Space Phoenix, he's got 4 stacks on that Convection. He's not finding a lot of value. He's just getting a little bit scared to try and stack it up. There is just so much aggression that we can see coming out of the side of Team Numbers. With that Stukov as well, that silence, and you really need to be worried. When you funnel into those chokes now, you'll have that silence just locking you down. That's also why Stukov can be such a powerhouse. He can just lock out a lot of areas in a team fight.
That's a result of DC not really having that hyper carry to empower with Tesla. He has opted for colors light, so no extra lifesteal this time. If that shield pops, armor is granted that hero, and they're going to definitely need that to make sure they can try and sustain in these team fights, because right now, Numbers have the aggression, they've got the numbers, they've got the damage. It's just a case of pure execution, and straight away, it seems to be that the Night Camp has been picked up. They're going to escort it in. Luminum has rotated on through with Illidan as well. Try and get as much value out of this as possible and keep up this level deficit.
Ooh, Touch Me getting very aggressive, but I mean, you're not going to get a lot of value with Arthas with that Frozen Tempest activated. It's not as Illidan anyway, but look at this. He's just doing the dance. He's got his supports backing him up as well. They can siege here.
And this is actually really good to have Lumin up here as well, because they can deal with the Living Bomb damage as well as the Flame Strike damage quite easily. When that Healing Pathogen bounces around like a pinball, well, it negates a lot of that damage. So frustrating for Space Phoenix to deal with, and you can see that he's trying to force the aggression. He's trying to get the Flame Strikes across. It is starting to do damage, and Lumin's run the wrong way. He is going to be bitten off for free, buying time for his team, but he will fall fate to First Blood.
Great pickup now by Team DC. That's exactly what we want to happen, essentially. Luminum, what's that saying we like to say? He zigged when he should have zagged. Just completely the wrong direction there, Skimmy. But look at this. Now there's a 4v5 that we can see if Team DC play their cards right. They could get some picks off here and really secure this bottom temple for themselves.
Yeah, Turian's tried to steal as many shots away as possible, which is a great play by them. They're going to go for the collapse now, and Bismarck's locked in a bit of a sticky situation. So squishy, so easy to kill. Alex Chan screams the horn, and they pick up the kill, making it a double kill right now. And it forces out Johanna using the Iron Skin. Luffy meant to back away. And Luminum was trying to do his best here to try and keep this team sustained, but Illidan gone straight back through, saying the call has been made. Get your split push on. Get level 10.
Love that. So effectively, as I said, they cannot find value in one lane. They can just send Illidan off to another lane. And Team DC managed to capture all of this. They are not yet done, though. They want to get more kills, so Ivyloo is getting really low in that back. Might need to force... Oh, no, but look at this! Luffy is just 5v1ing. Look at this!
I was just going to say, why do you need damage when you've got all the CC to control it? The damage will trickle on through, but if they can't collapse and can't get the kill in the instance, that's when they seem to suffer. And the power slide, as well as the Howling Blast, came across, but Space Phoenix wasn't there to blow anybody up, but he's still getting aggressive, expending the very last remnants of his mana, and as a result of Illidan going for that split push, they hit level 10. He's looking for the hunt. Can he come in? They've gone behind the wall, but he is still on the prowl, splitting his attention now to that mid lane.
Stukov's healing pathogens just doing so much, especially when they group up like that. Look at how healthy they are, and that's, I guess, why we fear Stukov, why he's so respected. Alex Chan's power slide does miss. He's going to take a lot of return damage. The hunt seals the deal.
Here comes Illidan.
Oh,
and there goes the double one.
Sniped.
Like Proactive Solution, they were popping pimples and they are making things work for them. Level 10 is only now being picked up by DC, but it's too little too late. And it's easy pickings. Don't even matter if the temple's gone because we do the damage and we get the structures.
It's a little bit upsetting, I guess, for the side Team DC. If they had picked up another kill, it would have gone so much different for them. But the fact is that they just couldn't collapse. Like you said, they just couldn't seal the deal. And that really punished them because the whole time that was going on, Tashmi was just making sure that he could get level 10, win that race. That's the power of that split.
Gwyd is forcing the aggression here with that army of the dead, but he gets Blessed Shield. He's forced to run away. Team is there in response now. Touch Me came in with the hunt. Luffy is quite overextended, does not have the Iron Skin, and it is going to fall fate to his own demise. Alex Chan does get the shove away, but Luminon, with the last remnants of his mana, trying to keep his teammate alive, cannot in that case. But now, another temple phase is spawned in the top lane and in the bottom lane, and this should once again fall in favor of numbers with that global pressure.
Equal on experience, they actually want to get this fort over here. They are putting a lot of tools actually to get that. So I guess they will happily get this bottom one, but there is a massive wave up top. They have also sent Gwyd to see if he can try and get some shots. They just need to respect that the hunt coming out of Touch Me, so he can instantly make it a 2v1 at any time.
What I'd love to see coming out of DC right now is if they see that their full rotation from numbers goes into that top lane, they should be forcing that boss and making it work in their favor, saying, well, if you do try and use your global, we'll just push, because otherwise you just passively lose this map. You can see that Illidan, any chance he gets, is pushing, trying to get that structures in his favor, and this is where they really do well right now. Top lane, 3 members collapse on, they pick up Arthas for free, and that hurts them really bad now.
Yeah, we're just getting completely collapsed on. That's what I said. So it's just never going to be a 1v1, not with that Illidan around. And we can see how numbers are choosing to play. Like you said, using their global, using that push anytime that they can't take that fight. Just make sure that they're constantly pushing.
Aggressive Invader as a result of the talent tier advantage. Level 13 to 12 right now. Still looking for that fight. Blessed Shield is up in 30 seconds, but the hunt is ready. And that can be combined with the Rain of Vengeance. Has been so far quite successfully. They can pick up the final shots in the top lane. Bot is still pushing. They got the Siege Giants against them, but surely they'll just send Illidan to clear that in no time. But right now you can see they're trying to force the fight. They do need level 13 over ND.
That's it. From DC, they need that 13 before they can take on the next fight. Otherwise, they'll be at a bit of a disadvantage. Well, look at this as well. A boss call has been made on the side of numbers. They know that Team DC has to go clear out the top lane. They know that Team DC will be looking for 13. So the decision has been made to go for that bot lane. They're not worried about clearing out that siege camp just yet.
They've got the damage. They can realize Team DC is saying, where are they? They're not clearing the bot lane, so they surely are doing boss, if not their own giants, but it's not going to be the case. Toilet Dream comes across, done nothing. Space Phoenix in the back line, so zoned, and Touch Me comes across like an Uber driver, ready to pick you up at a moment's notice. He is going to get the kill, but the Phoenix does the damage. Space Phoenix, true to his name, does the damage, gets the kills, and it is currently a 1-for-1, but the Loking Arm is there, slowing the retreat from Gwyd, who's going to get collapsed upon. The shove is there if need be. They are slowing him down with this weighted pustule and the bio kill switch, but Malfurion in the bot lane does die, and in the end, Vandy, it's a 3-for-1.
I just feel so bad for Space Phoenix as well, because that was 16 stacks of convection that just went down the drain. So immediately I could sense how frustrated he'd be with that. And you could have just let boss go. You knew what they were up to. I'd say the call to there would have been get 13. For sure. Get 13 and then just clear out the boss. You've got the damage. You can clear it out. I mean, they can go back, but it's a lot of damage lost. The fact that Kel'Thas is their only damage loss and he lost his convection stacks, that's huge. That's a huge disadvantage that Team DC are now finding themselves in.
You know what I want to talk about, though? I think DC are actually still in a good spot, because bot lane, those Siege Giants pushed all the way through, almost equaling what that boss pushed in alone. That tower, very, very low. They open up that keep in the bot lane as well. So this temple in the bot lane is the most desired right now because that is going to be firing shots on the keep.
I mean, yes, the Siege camp managed to find value, but it was more about the kills, giving them the experience advantage, because now we're seeing 16 versus 14. So once again, now another talent tier that they're behind on, where before they could have stabilized with 14, 13.
They can get a pick. This would be great. They're looking for Touch Me. He's forced out very early on. Does not have the spell armor. He has gone for Nimble Defender, so when that sweeping strikes is used, 25 armor is there. There goes the Mosh Pit. Can they catch out too? Can they get the collapse without 16? They're looking for it. Shield onto Alex Chan, but Stukov is the first with the full response with a double kill on Team DC, and the prolonged fights are going to work in their favor right now. Numbers with the resets. 1, 2, 3. Looking for the pentakill to even things out. Looking for Gwyd if they can pick this one up. Potentially go for the end through bot lane. Utilize their talent to advantage and make this series a 2-0.
Look at the collapse coming in from Team Numbers as well. They not only managed to scatter Team DC, but then just collapsing upon each member so well. By killing the tank last, it just shows great prioritization of targets. So they just know who they need to kill and just doing it in the correct order. On the side of Team DC, there's a lot coming at you. I mean, you are also fighting down a talent tier, so it's just tough, I guess. Like you said, they were trying to get that kill on Touch Me. If they'd gotten that kill, it would have been so much different. It's all those
different story.
Yeah, could-haves, should-haves, would-haves, and it didn't happen.
Regrets. That's what you stay up until 2 a.m. in the morning when you're drinking your alcohol, thinking about all the things you've done wrong in your life. And it's definitely not me playing Hero League, because I love Hero League and I love my boosted MMR. But let's talk about this map here right now. Temple has spawned in the bot lane. Touch Me is going to do a great job at picking that one up, and that's going to pick up this keep for sure. And I mean, Team DC, as you said, they kind of forced their hand there with that team fight. Didn't work in their favor. They then do meet the demise as a result of not having that 16 to favor them. But right now, I mean, they need 16 and they need to force a fight again. Otherwise, it's a race to 20 and they just lose again.
Well, I mean, this is the time for them to fight, you could say, because with Valor being locked up, one member has to be locked up on that temple if they want to capture it all. So it would effectively be a 4v5 if they could find the collapse. But look at how passive we now see Team Numbers be. They don't want to fight until that temple's done. They don't want to fight until they've got their numbers there.
A lot of damage has come across onto these structures right now. Mid lane is the next focus with that keep already down to half. The rotation's coming across with Touch Me on the camp, looking to put pressure in the top lane, which is also so far pressed against them. And it seems to be that DC are on full turtle mode, even having to use Phoenix to defend the mid lane.
That's never what you want to be saying. I mean, I just let that sink in for a moment. I'm like, that's just how dire things are looking. And a lot of that reason is just because they just couldn't find the value. In those fights that should have been theirs, they just couldn't really find any value. And now, I mean, this is that weird stage of Sky Temple where even though you try to turtle, you're forced to fight for the temples. Otherwise, you just kind of passively lose.
So let's talk about what objectives are available. What are the win conditions right now? Win condition definitely for Numbers is to push through bot lane and end it from there. Boss is up in 20 seconds, and you can imagine DC are thinking this has to be what they're looking for. This is got to be what they're sort of turtling out for, because they are half a level away until 20. Once that is acquired, a 4-level lead with all the extra abilities at your disposal. Right now, I mean, DC are playing chicken. They've gone for Illidan, but he just hunts away.
Oh, and look at this. Instead, it now leaves Alex Chan being collapsed upon. Luckily, he can power slide out. Bismarck is in a lot of trouble. He just needs a follow-up. Just any-damage.
Ivy on the drive-by, completely separated from the rest of his team, and said, look, I'll do stuff whilst you're distracted over there. Let me just, pick off one of your carries. Tesla just popped, deleted. And now the next set of temples are available, Vandy. 20 is there. Touch Me is just backdooring a keep.
Yeah, not a care in the world. And that's, I guess, the power of Illidan, dare I say it? Or is it just more the annoyances of Illidan? You always need to be worried of that backdooring happening. And this is what we were worried about, the worst case scenario where they just couldn't respond to what they needed. It's just so much. What is this, though? Is Touch Me just running it down?
Touch Me is trying to make a montage right now. He is on the core. He is so low. Twilight Dream comes across. He spread the wings and they put him in the grave. Big plays right there by Touch Me. But now the only chance for DC to make something happen. They are looking for it. Shove is beautiful from Luminon, making sure there is no chance for a mosh pit, no chance for a comeback. 20 is in their favor. But is it enough? It's a 5v4. Bismack looking to try and make the kills happen. He gets caught on the last clip of that mosh pit. And soon, they are looking to win this fight, Vandy. This is disastrous.
I'm not sure, Touch Me, it was 1v5 and he just ran into the keep. I'm like, I mean, I know that you're great and all, but what's going on here? And oh, look at this. Space Phoenix being the one to fall because he was the one to lead the charge. You're so
This
squishy.
is pretty rough, actually, because now they can pick up Boss. And because keeping the bot lane is pretty exposed, yet with 17 minutes into this game, the Boss will do a fair bit of damage. They are going to be up with staggered deaths. I mean, the temples can be picked up by numbers, which will now start throwing on the core, but still puts them in a bit of a rough situation.
I mean, Luffy now just... Oh, look at this. Luffy's on the temple, but Touch Me just running it right back. This time he's going to finish it up with the temple backing him up. There's no defenders.
Finally pick this up with the level 16 with Mark for Death. He just queues all day. He dives, he picks up the core. They are completely separated, and Touch Me does what he tried to do number one time. Oh, look at the taunt. Even there, with the taunt and the spray, they pick up the core. GG.
Just a little bit of BM at the end there. Oh,
Love
GG. What an action-packed game. Like, very interesting. Team DC, they were on the upper hand because of that team fight. I mean, with Space Phoenix falling, yeah, they couldn't really pick up that boss effectively enough, but really where it came into play was because they had lost so many of those key structures, those key keeps, the shots of the temple then were enough to seal the deal. And as we saw, when you've got that exposed keep like that, it's just asking, begging for the Illidan to just go in and try to backdoor it.
Yeah, it seemed to be a case of Illidan having all the fun and time in the world to really do his job, right? He got the ability to execute the split push, but the pressure, the response usually is you need to force those team fights, force those fights where it's a 5v4 without Illidan being able to sort of join in and win it from then. And if you can get the siege on, you can definitely out-siege what Illidan brings to the table, but they weren't able to find it. Temples went down, Boss went across, and in the end, the level disadvantage proved to be too big.
That was exactly what happened. And I mean, really nice fight by Team DC, but this does mean that Team Numbers will be progressing to the next round. So congratulations, Team Numbers. And we did do an MVP. I'll just confirm with Crisis. We were supposed to do it at the end of the series, so I think our MVP for this series is still going to be Ivy. Is that correct?
I would agree as well.
Yeah.
Ivy definitely popped off. A lot of love was put on to Touch Me to execute it, but still Ivy was doing a lot of work. I mean, look at the numbers alone. 84,000, like he was doing like 3 times, maybe even 4 times some of his team members.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of damage being dished out by Ming.
So Ivy was definitely showing us what you can do when you get the right heroes in your power. But it does mean, Numbers, get the 2-0 to start the day off with. Beautiful stuff here. We are going to confirm what the next the next series is in just a second, so don't go anywhere.